We close our last lecture segment thinking about what the future of inequality is and what that means for a diverse society. And a central question for us to think about is the hierarchical nature of society, that there is a social order of dominance and subordinates. We have to grapple with the fact that there's a tremendous amount of inequality in the world, and tremendous differences, and also diversity between groups of people. And we live in a world that's so dependent on social construction. Perhaps some real differences between people, and then the differences are interpreted in light of social norms and the local cultures. But that these are socially constructed distinctions, and that they work to the benefit of some people and to the detriment of others. We haven't delved at all much this semester into the conflict paradigm of understanding how society is organized, though we did discuss very briefly at the beginning of the semester the power-conflict theoretical framework for understanding society. It looks at who has resources and who does not. Marx, of course, used the economy and the means of production to create that framework. I want you to think in terms of social order that way, i.e. in terms of access to resources, power, money, prestige, and realize that society is highly stratified in those terms. And one question I want to raise is whether we are inherently hierarchical in terms of how society is organized. That may be something that comes with the territory of being a social creature. While some people want to lead, others are more content being followers. Now, I'm not trying to say that all systems of power are good or should be perpetuated. I'm just raising the question of to what degree does society need to have some stratification of leaders and decision makers and followers. So, coming from that starting point of being a stratified society, if this is inherent to some degree in human nature, then that begs the next question of whether equality can be achieved. Of course, there are many countries that do equality much, much better than we do here in America, and other countries that don't give its citizens as many rights and benefits that we do in our country. So, I'm not saying that we can't improve, and I'm not saying we are terrible and have no clue how to achieve inequality. I'm just trying to get you to think about where we should be going with this notion, and that, of course, would then indicate how our policies should change to achieve those goals. So Newman tells you the story of the Sneetches, Dr. Seuss's story about the star-bellied society. And he's telling you that story to create a picture of intersectionality of inequality and social construction. At the beginning of the story, the Sneetches with stars discriminate against and shun those without. An entrepreneur named Sylvester McMonkey McBean, calling himself the Fix-It-Up Chappie, appears and offers the Sneetches without stars the chance to get them with his star-on machine for $3. The treatment is instantly popular, but this upsets the original Starbelly Sneetches, as they are in danger of losing their special status. McBean then tells him about his star-off machine, costing $10, and the Sneetches who originally had stars happily pay the money to have them removed in order to remain special. However, McBean does not share the prejudices of the Sneetches and allows the recently starred Sneetches through this machine as well. Ultimately, this escalates, with the Sneetches running from one machine to the next. And as I quote from Dr. Seuss, until neither the plane nor the Starbellies knew whether this one was that one, or that one was this one, or which one was what one, or what one was who. This continues until the Sneetches are penniless, and McBean departs as a rich man, amused by their folly. And by the way, Newman leaves this part out in his description, but I think it's worth having in our discussion, as it relates so well to capitalism and who benefits from the social construction of reality. Despite his assertion that you can't teach a Sneetch, the Sneetches learn from this experience that neither plain-belly nor star-belly Sneetches are superior, and they are able to get along and become friends. And so, Seuss's story of the Sneetches was intended by Seuss as a satire of discrimination between races and cultures, and was specifically inspired by his opposition to anti-Semitism. Now, Newman is a little critical of Seuss because Newman claims he got the part about being able to transform society so quickly. He got that wrong. In Newman's own words, what the story gets wrong, however, and of course we can't expect Dr. Seuss to touch all the sociological bases, is that although the differences that foster inequalities may be socially created, they're rarely, if ever, so interchangeable or so capricious as they are in the story. Those groups with little power seldom have the wherewithal to create social equality, let alone turn the tables of stratification by altering the perceptions of the more dominant groups. And within a given society, ideologies of inequality based on race, gender, class, and sexuality become embedded in the culture and in important social institutions to the point that they're difficult, if not impossible, to reverse.